And hi again to part 2 of episode 6. Or should I say episode 7, part 2 of mission 6? Never mind. I'm Libluini and this is my casual let's play of Homeworld Cataclysm, a fine real-time strategy game in 3D in space. Those of you who have seen my last video know that I fucked things up royally by essentially sacrificing one of my squadrons to the enemy, and now the only ships left on the battlefield are my worker ships desperately trying to save the carrier Kaltstow, the Higaran carrier Kaltstow, so just so we get enough time to send reinforcements. Also, we are building support modules to get a larger fleet. Something we really need now. How should I say this? Something we really need now. Since, as you can see on the right side left, down left, we are close to full capacity on our ship units already, simply because I've built frigates, ramming frigates, just so we can try to save the Kaltstow if larger ships turn up. And as you can see now, I've started building the second support module, and the first is finished and gave us 10 additional shiny points for more ships. Now I can't exactly remember how many support units you can build, but it's actually a lot. And it's not even... Oh shit, the little ramming frigate here is trying to box our worker ships aside. At least our gambit of healing each other has worked, because one of the worker ships was close to death and is healed up right now. As you can see, those 3 worker units follow the damaged worker ship around to hold it alive. Oh no, shit. It's the one. The ramming frigate has just shoved it out of the way where it was before. As you can see, we're really close to losing this mission, but I'm kind of stubborn, so I still try my best to get to that point. If you want, you can take now a bet to see if I have to replay this mission or not. Now I'm researching microchip production for some neat little units later on. First ship we get is the Wächter, or the Guardian, on good old Not German. And those ships are actually not that good, but they can get pretty damn good with the technology later on. But this is not important right now, because I wanted to say irrelevant. Oh god, I hope I pronounced that right. It's pretty damn easy to pronounce in German, irrelevant. But every time I try to make it into English, it goes to shit. I guess this kind of happens if you don't grow up with a foreign language. Back to the game. So, since I only have small units, no capital ship, I thought about this a bit and then suddenly remembered, shit, I have a capital unit, my command ship. My command ship can take a lot of punishment, and small ships are practically useless against it, since even without weapon upgrades it has so many turrets it can blast away a lot of small enemy units like fighters and bombers in an astonishingly short amount of time. Of course, it has the same problems the Bentusi ships has. Sometimes the turrets simply miss. And in this case it's kind of aggravating, because the Bentusi at least destroy everything they hit. Our turrets aren't that powerful, sadly, and completely useless against most capital ships, except again frigates, because frigates are just large enough that most of our turrets can concentrate their fire on them. And if there are no small units around, then enemy frigates are in for a bit of a surprise. Well, that's beside the point, but now we have to very slowly bring our command ship around. Sadly, since I'm not the best player around, this won't be the first nor the last time I have to use my command ship like a giant battleship just because I fucked up and lost all important units. Right now it's getting close to complete massive mission failure down here. We only see enemy units here and a lot of explosion raking our worker ships. But right now we are still healing the Kalsto, hopefully with all 6 ships faster than... Ooh shit, that's not good, that's the opposite of good.
Bereit zum Abmarsch.
Microchip production is halfway researched. Those you little mining engineers research harder. It's kind of funny how the game occasionally makes you remember that this is just a bunch of miners with things like the refinery ships, and another unit we're getting later is another thing making us remember that nope, we aren't some cool Higaran soldiers, we're just a bunch of miners who happen to get into a lot of trouble lately. Another thing that was a little reminder was the cutscene in the beginning, which told us how few engineers were doing their best to research a biomechanical virus, but they ended their presentation with stating, well, that's all we can find out, but we are not biologists, we are engineers. Sweet little details like this is why the story works so great. You really get the feeling, nope, there are no super biology scientists who can help us because those are all back on Higara and we are only a Higaran clan, not the entire Higaran race like in the first Homeworld. Luckily, being a mining clan means we don't have at least to suffer trying to save 600,000 people and then dragging their frozen corpses around until we can revive them to recolonize our old homeworld. But that's the story of part 1. Go play it. It's as good as this game. Besides, we are only just begun the true horror. It gets even worse later on, but at that point we hopefully finally have capital ships on our own. A nice little detail some guy in another thread on Something Awful told me about. It's actually possible to capture the heavy cruiser we were dealing with in the beginning, because in an earlier mission, remember, it's still Imperial, which means if we are actually fast enough, we could theoretically capture the cruiser with enough worker frigates, and then we just have to protect it until we can defend against infection, and then we'll go. We're free to go with it. The trouble with this is, of course, after we get to the cruiser, we have to somehow drag it all the way through the beast fleet without it getting infected. Then we have to jump with it. Then we have to protect it against infection again. So if you do all this, then you get a heavy cruiser. Sadly, of course, until this mission, having a heavy cruiser means you have not much else except maybe a few worker ships, because that heavy cruiser will most likely fill out most of your ship units in one fell swoop. So I guess both strategies work. Either you go with lots of small ships or with that one heavy cruiser and a few worker frigates. But this would of course mean that right now you could finally start building small ships again. And of course you run the risk of having 2 heavy cruisers in this mission fighting against you if you get too close to all those infectious beast ships in the beginning. But then again, I never even thought about capturing that heavy cruiser because, well, it just never crossed my mind actually. And so I don't actually know, and I don't want to replay this mission yet again to find out if the game actually remembers you capture the heavy cruiser and then sends in the beast fleet minus that cruiser because the cruiser is yours. Of course, it could also be the game just sends in 2 just to balance out your own heavy cruiser. That's something I simply don't know. One of our worker ships is dead and 2 are close to dying. Luckily, I'm already building new ones and rebuilding my fleet and building new support modules so that fleet can be larger than before. Here you can see in detail what happens in the system manager. You can see the new support modules turning up. But nope, now we need even more worker ships to replace those which will soon be exploding, and we need more fighters. Fighters at this point, thanks to the missiles, are a lot more useful than corvettes, because corvettes are simply anti-fighter weapons at this point, because they need a lot of fighter firepower to be destroyed, but on the other hand can't destroy fighters and bombers, I guess, pretty easily. Fighters, on the other hand, get into trouble with lots of small enemies. On the other hand, thanks to their missiles, as you've seen again and again, against capital ships, they are actually not that bad. And since they are incredibly cheap, sometimes it's just a good idea to build a bunch of them and then send them to make a suicide mission. Because if you have a few dozen missiles launched to blow up an enemy heavy cruiser or a carrier even, then this is a good exchange. Fighters are cheap. Scouts would even be even better, I suppose, but Scouts sadly can't carry missiles. Which means that as long as I'm not forced to do, I will never build Scouts again in this game. And there, sadly, the enemy AI is smart enough to destroy all my fighters before they can launch missiles. This was not good. Not good at all. And now we'll get reminded that this game is 3-dimensional because my command ship is actually too far above the Karlstow to give supporting fire to all those enemy fighters and bombers annoying us. So now I have given the order to go down and give those few remnants of my fleet the order to just go and wreck some ships. Finally I decided to just attack the bombers, because those are the most vulnerable ones. Here the ramming frigate is almost dead, and down below my refinery ship is desperately trying to correct its course and fly back to where it's supposed to be. On the other hand, having the enemy ramming frigate attacking my refinery ship is not that bad, really, because this way it at least won't attack the worker ships. Well, in a bit of luck lately. It's still 4, so no great attack wave has caught them yet. Seems we can still do this. Yes, we can do this. So, order of the day, build more support units and modules build more worker ships, build more fighters, build more everything, until we can finally overwhelm those pesky little annoyances. Right now I think I bring the refiner ship closer, because even though it's a refinery ship, it still has some little turrets, and every little bit helps. From this perspective you can see my command ship is actually still rather far away from the action. And now I'm trying my ramming frigates to get the enemy ramming frigate. No, that's mine. Shit. There, the red one is over there. Well, my ship is still completely undamaged. Karlstow is still close to dead, but at least we've cut down some of the enemy units in the meantime. Now we have to go fast, because we can't actually pause the game while giving orders in one of the managers. This makes the fight always extra interesting, because you have to decide to either give orders in real time or to hope for the best for a few seconds until you've made all your research and build orders or launch orders. And as you have seen again and again in my missions, every time I say something like, don't launch your units directly into a battlefield, I go ahead and do it, and as always you then see all those fighters launching and then getting destroyed. But now I'm finally sending more worker ships into the fray. And yeah, we still have some corvettes left, so I make the smart thing to do and destroy those fighters over there. Some of them apparently already damaged. Oh no, that was the frigate. Now you see the turrets of my ship, my command ship, attacking. Yes, we're getting closer and closer to what I want to do. Finally we get some of them. And I'm trying again to launch fighters. This time we should have a bit more luck, because now our command ship is close enough to shoot at everything that moves, and already most of the enemy units have exploded. Perseverance through stupidity. And being goddamn stubborn. That's what I call this. This time the fighters survived long enough to launch and get into formation. Now I'm trying to decide what to do with them. Nope, this is mine. Where's the other one? I'm pretty sure there's at least one. Ah! There's one. And the corvettes attack there. Well, looks like we've won, or close as is. So now I'm searching for the frigate, the enemy ramming frigate, which should be somewhere here. Well, I'm pretty sure it shows up again sooner or later. Oh! So, something you may have not noticed, since the symbol for missiles shows up. If I click on an enemy, if you order units with a special order like those missile launchers to attack with a left click, then they will just use their normal weapons. This is of course extra useful with Vassal fighters, because this way you can send them after some easily destroyable strays, and now if you see then suddenly a large target, then you can attack with a right click and your missiles will launch. And then they will all hit this frigate and blow it up. Easy peasy. Few missiles were even left over, but more missiles is always better than the frigate suddenly surviving. After all, this way the frigate is gone and I can order all those fighters to dock up again to get new fresh missiles. And I have to drag my command ship around because enemy reinforcements are coming. There's still some pesky little bugger left to annoy us. And now I'm moving my bulky command ship around to protect the Kalsto with it, because the AI is luckily not the smartest, because a smart AI would try to move units around my command ship and then attack from behind. But since it's just the AI and not a living human playing against us, the AI will just attack whatever it is they can see first. And if I position my command ship far enough ahead, then every wave of reinforcements will attack the heavily armed command ship instead of the helpless carrier. Now I can finally heal up the carrier without getting annoyed. I can even repair my little banged up refinery ship, and we are now in a position to kill everything attacking us. But the mission is still not over, because there's still a part of the fleet left. The enemy fleet, I mean. At least we saved the Kalsto so far, even though some of our worker ships are still close to death. Close to death.
Das überlassen wir lieber den Profis. Ja?
Leitstelle.
So, now that I have finally beaten back the enemy, I can heal up my worker ships, so they won't suddenly explode if some little stray happens to come too close. Here we have the phalanx formation, something the enemy always seems to like to use, even though it's not really that practical. Essentially, if you use the phalanx formation against something, then it's mostly useful, I guess, for a large-scale missile attack against smaller units like corvettes or frigates, because this way, if you have a giant wave of fighters, you can more easily order different groups of fighters to launch their missiles against their targets, just in case you don't want to go with the complete overkill option. Sometimes it's useful because on average about 4 fighters launching missiles are enough to destroy all frigates, and about 10 can destroy... sorry, I meant 4 Vassal fighters launching missiles can easily destroy a corvette, and around 10 are necessary to destroy a frigate. If you have those numbers in your head, then you can do advanced stuff like, say, take 20 fighters, put them all in a large phalanx formation, then send them against the enemy fleet, and then you can easily pick out 10 to attack one frigate and 10 to attack the other. If they survive that attack run, then you can have them retreat, order them together in a huge claw formation, and then the survivors can attack whatever is left. Or I suppose, if you prefer hit and run tactics, you can have the fighters outrun the enemy, come back to your carriers somewhere else, reload, and do the same shit again. Essentially, if you want to be a real ass about it, you can destroy entire fleets of enemy frigates pretty easily, as long as you have A, enough fighters, B, remember to order them back to your carriers immediately to rearm, and C, Of course, the enemy also needs to have a lot of frigates, because if he brings fighters and corvettes of his own, then this still doesn't work so well again. On the other hand, we are speaking here about the AI, and sooner or later there will be little windows of opportunity with a few enemy frigates coming on unprotected, without escort or something, in which case we can use our fighters to just blow them away. Always nice to know. Now we're still healing, healing, healing.
Leitstelle. Angriffsprofil öffnen. Leitstelle.
Let's try to get this pesky little ramming frigate off of us. It can't actually infect us, and my command ship is far too heavy to get moved around, so the ramming frigate will just give up after a while. But as long as it keeps hanging there, it's kind of annoying. And as soon as it starts, it gets pelted with turrets. Well, time to launch my fighters again and build a few more corvettes, just in case. And my first Guardian. Right now, Guardians are a little more than more turrets, and really not that needed. Now I'm... shit. Right the very moment the first missile touches the frigate, the turrets of my command ship finally blow it up, forcing me to dock up all those acolyte fighters again. Well, little acolytes, little vassals, rearm your fighting missiles and launch again, please. Now, a bit more micromanagement with my worker ships. Still not all quite patched up again. Karlstor, please repair faster.
Hier Aufbereitungsschiff. Alles klar.
Leitstelle.
Different shades of green. Oh, I hate you. But I finally noticed this ship is a bit damaged. And we'll continue. It's patched up. Now we can simply set all our 7 worker frigates to repair the Karlstor, which means the ship is safe now. Half the HP are back. My refinery ship is undamaged, my ramming frigates are undamaged, and the last corvette is finished soon, and we have still a few support units left. 127 out of 160. If we wanted to, we could build a shitload of units more, but we don't actually need to, since here the enemy comes piecemeal. Now that we have destroyed the Great Waves, now we only have to deal with what the enemy can build. And since we sucked down practically all resources in this mission already, this isn't much. So I let my capital ship, my only capital ship, if I discount the unarmed ramming frigates, blow up the enemy units simply with turrets, and because I have the main front of the ships facing the enemy, this means every enemy unit has to run through practically all turrets the command ship has to get to the blind spot behind it, which, as we have seen, those ships didn't quite make. They didn't quite make it that far. This is another thing you can use with the larger ships. depending on how the ship is built and what kind of firearms its weapons had, it has different blind spots. And while some ships, like the Titan heavy cruiser for example, still can try to move around to hold smaller ships in their firing arcs, ships like the giant ships like carriers and the command ship have a lot of trouble with this. This of course is something you can abuse like hell. In this case, for example, since the AI don't know about any stupid blind spots, it just attacks head on, which means it gets pelted by turrets. Then it passes the ship, gets pelted by even more turrets, and when it's finally time to attack back, it quite accidentally attacks the blind spot. But, and this is the important point, for the AI the attack point is farther up, so it actually attempts to move past the blind spot and past all of the turrets right back in front of the ships, and then the small ships turn around again and try to do this all over. In practice this means some ships get destroyed trying to get past your command ship, then they get some free shots, then they fly back, lose a few ships more, then they turn around, and most likely completely wiped out at that point, because in a few seconds they need to turn around. They get, well, slaughtered since they're an easy target. In this case they don't even bother with sending missiles, since it's just an unarmed ramming frigate, completely harmless as long as they are unsupported. And there is another unit, a few more acolyte fighters. In this case I'm sending the Wassals to blow up the single fighter. And of course there are more fighters coming, but as long as they come like that, yeah, well, apparently the fighters, 2 fighters actually, are incredibly lucky because they survived this. Well, but their luck just run out. The corvettes have blown up the frigate and turn around to, well, they try to, but they're actually too slow to catch them, so I have to use my fighters to follow them. Ah, they finally got it. Just as it was in range of my command ship anyway. Oh, yeah. Well, time to send my little fleet into the direction all those enemies came from. Whoop, and the point is back. It's gone, because the ship that belonged to that red point was in the middle of an explosion. Again, we're healing, repairing, patching up. Oh, Karlstuhl. You simply don't want to get repaired, don't you? Now my little fleet sees the enemy is coming from there and is repositioning. This is especially a strategy, a tactic I will do again in other missions. First I use the command ship to break the first waves annoying me, and as soon as I have reached a point where I can collect resources, I can then use my fleet to move against enemy concentrations. Which in this case means that the fleet is moved into position to fight enemy waves, and then I'm slowly moving the fleet, fighting off wave after wave, slowly degrading the enemy, because at the point when I'm finally reaching the capital ships, there won't be much left of the fleet. Then I'm restoring the carriers and other support ships, and then I patch up the fleet and move it to the next wave. Essentially, if you think about this a bit, this means that I'm using my command ship like bait to find enemy fleets and then obliterate them with my actual fleet. This works well most of the time, except of course for escort missions. This mission was hard enough since we had 2 ships to protect one after another, but Now the mission is essentially won. There will be some other missions with goals beyond destroy everything, and as the stupid bastard that I am, if my orders are more complex than just shoot everything, I tend to fuck up a lot. See this mission. More fighters. Easy peasy. This is heavy corvettes. Well, that's less easy, but I still don't want to waste my missiles. So I guess I send the corvettes against the corvettes and move my fighters out of the way, because heavy corvettes can do really ugly things to fighters. Yes, but of course that a single or very small group of enemy fighters is still fast enough to make my plans go boom. So I lose patience and send my fighters to this ramming frigate again. Yeah, AI, send me those frigates. But then I get a bit smaller, because I remember I can just send smaller groups around, especially since ramming frigates are completely harmless, at this point at least. And here I'm sending missiles and blow up one of the corvettes, which means this is essentially a done deal now. Well, I can send all my acolytes back to destroy the heavily damaged frigate now. And that was it. Enemy corvettes destroyed, enemy fighters hopefully destroyed. Now to reunite my two groups of fighters and general attack to blow up the frigate as fast as possible before the enemy capital ship we can see on our sensor screen is building more of them. At this point they are just time wasters, and we are close enough to attack the enemy carrier. Luckily this carrier doesn't actually have an infection ray like the heavy cruiser, because I guess for game balance reasons, because normally all beast capital ships, except for frigates, those are too small, can infect other ships. But I guess this would be a bit ludicrous, considering if we don't have any larger ships which could possibly survive an infection anyway. So I'm guessing here for game balance reason this one simply doesn't use its infection ray against us, because we couldn't attack it if it had one, because we would lose our fleet if we attack, and if we don't attack we couldn't finish the mission. Quite a conundrum. So now we are attacking this stupid little thing, and because we are annoying it, it sends out more units, corvettes mostly. This is of course a bit stupid, because at least some of those ships are attacking us. This is before I finally get smart and remember the carrier also has turrets, and my ships got damaged by them, because as I learned shortly, those ships are actually part of another wave, and they make a beeline for my heavily defended fleet instead of the few ships here. So after I noticed the undocking ships ignoring me, I take a few pot shots and then attack the carrier instead. This doesn't look so well. Normally a few corvettes can't really make a dent in such a large ship. I mean, you have just seen wave after wave of enemy pummeling. Oh, it jumps out. Well, as I said, you have seen wave after wave of enemy ships pummeling my large ships, and, well, our ships wouldn't fare any better.
Roger, Floco.
But the beast can't really win with just a carrier here, so it jumps out. Now all we have to do is destroy the few ships left and it should be done. I'm beginning to suspect we can't actually repair the Kaltsto up to full health. And the first ships of the last wave attack. So I guess we can launch more fighters now.
Und los.
Now the enemy ships get confused because so many fighters close by are a nice target, but command ships are also nice targets, so they take a while to retarget. And instead of losing a few units, I guess I'm losing just one fighter.
Waffen aufgeladen.
Well, better than nothing, I suppose.
Leitstelle.
Roger, Floco.
And now we're destroying it. And this one too. Well, that was it. And next wave.
Kommandoschiff wird angegriffen.
And heavy corvette.
Roger,
My
Floco.
corvettes are still fighting the few enemy corvettes left here. But it looks like they're slowly winning.
Roger, Floco. Koordinaten eingestellt.
Hier Leitstelle.
Roger, Floco.
Here I'm demonstrating what I was talking about earlier.
Koordinaten eingestellt.
Just made my fighters more easily to break up into smaller squadrons. Then I ordered every small squadron to launch missiles to another corvette, and two have blown up, and one got lucky but was too heavily damaged to survive anyway. And now those three corvettes, who if they had attacked in a more coordinated fashion, easily destroyed a shitload of fighters, instead got destroyed without any losses on my side.
Schiff bereit. Reparatur läuft.
Now I can reorganize the fighters in a new formation and unify them.
Auf Empfang.
Ah, cutscene. I guess I have one.
Und los.
Oh, typically, I have done literally nothing else except repairing that stupid ship. Now they're telling us it's too damaged to get repaired? That's kind of funny, actually. What the game actually doesn't show us is the Kaltsto takes automatic damage the entire time, and I guess if I weren't healing it up, and it would just automatically explode after a while. Well, I don't really want to test this, because at this point I would have to replay an 80-minute mission, and I'm far too... No. Just no. There are still enemy units. Not that important, I suppose, but I guess we can... Oh, the mission is actually over, but fuck it, let's destroy those few stragglers. There are still infected ships. Let's help the universe and destroy them. They're coming for us actually. There are two worker ships we haven't actually seen yet. This is some type of thing that can actually happen to your own worker ships. If you give them the order to go resource collection, go on a resource collection spree, and then forget about them. Sometimes they will just fly around, trying to find every single little speck of resources, and then shut down practically somewhere out in nowhere. I guess this happened with those resource collectors, and now they're trying a suicide attack run. Like, I don't really want to see what happens if they get close enough, because they're beast ships and I'm paranoid, so I destroy them. Total annihilation. And one destroyed beast ship after another, we make the universe a better place. Now we have actually won. Cleanup is done. The only thing left to do is docking up. All fighters and corvettes, please dock up. And still not healed up. Yep, if you're looking at the health bar, you can see it actually going down sometimes and then going up again. Yep, it takes automatic damage. Let's save, because if I take too long again for the next videos, I at least want to have a nice save where I can replay the cutscene at the end again. Now let's speed up 8 times. Everything docked up, and should I take the few rest resources or not? I still have a lot left, even though I've built all support modules I can, and still have a sizable fleet. Let's stop this bullshit and try to collect some rest resources. Everything is researched. Oh, I still thought, how many support modules are there? 2 left? 3 left? 4, 5? Okay, now we finally have everything. Well, turns up we can build 1,000 support modules, essentially doubling our ship units, more than doubling actually. We go from 100 to 220. And this is still not everything. That's still not everything. So it's not too punishing a cap. We can still build a lot of ships if we want to. So, everything unloaded. Not that it was much actually. And still, it's useless. Let's try if we've forgotten some other units. Problem is, even if a ship is at full health, the worker ships will at least try to repair it. They will of course immediately stop if it turns out the ship doesn't need repairs, but it still will try. This can be annoying, because there is practically no way to see if the ship is damaged without deselecting your worker ships, selecting the ships you want to repair, and then reselecting the worker ships again if you find one damaged. Now let's try a last time. Heal up, go down, heal up, go down, repair, go down, repair, go down. Nope, that doesn't work at all. Well, we still have this thing, because remember, redocking is right click, but it's also the special action of a ship unit, which of course means we can only dock ships with a special order, like repairing damage with the shortcut D or with the menu. To be extra double sure, I order everything to dock on everything. Of course, the refinery ship is technically speaking a capital ship, even though a not really heavily armed one. And of course this means we can't dock it, even though the game tries at least to wiggle around a bit. Well, fuck it, my fleet is here. One last save, so I don't have to play around with this shit anymore. And that was it, essentially. We can end the mission. And next time, at mission 7, we try to see where this is going. But now cutscene time.
Die strategischen Aussichten sind alles andere als gut. Innerhalb von Wochen könnte sie sich über den gesamten Raumsektor verbreiten.
Cartier Nebula Zeta Gate. Well, now we have gone into hiding to allow the Karlstoff to repair. Mostly because the hyperspace engine didn't work, so we had to hide. Now since the Karlstoff still has nothing except of life support and their fusion drives to work with, we'll actually have to slowly escort them through the nebula and even give them a sensor or beam to follow so they won't get lost on the way, since their sensors are also one of the things not really working. And now we are on a second escort mission because escort missions are fun. Well, the fleet is here in the Cartier Nebula.
Wir empfangen Nachrichten von einer Raumbasis in der Nähe.
Titan Imperials. I guess this means we can have at least a chance at capturing some neat ships if we want to. But the Imperials have to wait because this mission is at an end. And I say goodbye. Until next time. Or still not repaired. Now the game is just fucking with me.